Hello everyone, and welcome to our USA weather update on January 6th, 2024. So we're looking at our GFS 6th run, which is the latest run as I'm recording it on Saturday, January 6th, 2024 at about 12 p.m., 1 p.m. So our last update on New Year's Eve concluded that January would start mild over many areas of the USA and fairly settled. However, through January, we notice a colder trend, and as the cold air comes southwards, with the jet stream, we see winter storms blowing up, starting off in the Great Plains, then moving towards the Midwest and into the eastern states. And that is exactly what's happening. So, looking at our GFS run then, so you can see that today, Saturday, we are seeing a low pressure through the Midwest towards the Great Plains, extending down towards the southeastern states. Ahead of it, that is bringing up mild winds from southeast, but behind it, we're seeing colder air coming in from the north. That again, air mass is contrasting on both sides. So rain and storms on the eastern side, but cold with possible snow showers on the western side. This low isn't so deep, but there could be some spells of snow on it, but not really blizzards, if you see what I mean. That low clears away into tomorrow, Sunday. Possibly quite. Actually, for parts of the northeast, though, tomorrow, Sunday, there could be some blizzards as the low deepens and colder air comes around the western side of the low. Then, next week, another low develops towards the western side of the state, the Rockies and the Great Plains, etc., and it moves eastwards and intensifies. There's a huge contrast in temperatures, feeling that low with the cold air coming down, into the Great Plains and so on, mixing with warmer air coming up from the, Gulf of Mexico into these southern states, and therefore this storm blows up and moves. It tracks from the deep south up into the Midwest, then up into Northeast America. Meanwhile, low pressure comes in from off the Pacific into parts of the northwestern states again. So it's getting colder and a lot more unsettled. A lot of snowfall to watch here. A lot of rainfall, a lot of thunderstorms on the eastern side of the low where it's warm. And all the while, I'd say it's most settled in the extreme southwest of the states and also into parts of the southeast at times. Um, but even there, we do see some spells of rain and showers or possible snowfall at times, as these lows do edge near those places at times. Another deep low forms over like Texas, that sort of area, by January 12th, and that moves up towards the Midwest and into the east as well. And that brings a big blizzard. That would be severe. That would be the most severe storm, definitely, of the season so far. I'll show you in a minute, the upper temperatures because they are absolutely. I mean, in terms of Ireland, epic, because we don't see cold weather that often. So we're like that's exciting. But for you in the USA, it's probably a bit more chaotic in the USA. But anyway, you see that there's generally a high pressure through the period close to the west and southwest of the states and near the southeast as well. So if you're in those sort of areas, it'll be driest and most benign. And towards the end of the period, it gets a bit drier in many areas, especially in the west, with a ridge coming in off the Pacific. And therefore, I may have called the Pacific the Atlantic at times because I'm in Ireland, so I'm used to saying rain coming in off the Atlantic, so I apologise if I do that. Okay, so into mid January then, we see again a ridge into western states, a bit drier to the south as well, a little less cold for a time. But then a deep trough comes in from Canada, and that does bring in a new northerly shot into the Great Plains, Midwest, and Northeast. So we'll just say the northern Great Plains, northern Midwest, and Northeast. Beyond that, okay, so yeah, so a blocking feature comes down from Canada into the Great Plains, and in the west of the USA, to the east of the block, we're drawing in mild winds from the south, but on the eastern side of the block, towards Midwest and northeastern states, we see a cold shot of winds from Canada, prolonged, and the block centers towards western and northwestern states, and that turns many areas into a cold, prolonged shot of northeasterly winds. Also, by the end of the run, we have a low engaging with the cold air here, and that would probably spin up and raise up that eastern coast. So here are the upper temperatures with this run. Now that is the epic shot of spoils. But anyway, let's go back here. So initially, it's not too severely cold. It's not desperately cold. Some snowfall around, but nothing too severe. Especially into parts of the Midwest and Northeast. Again, I think the Midwest and Northeast will experience the most severe cold air in the period as well. So going into the weekend and tomorrow into Monday, should I say, we see cold air digging into the western states for a time before it dies off. And you can see a puddle of cold air drifting eastwards through the Great Plains into the Midwest. That -5 ice storm moving eastwards there behind a winter storm. That will bring a wide area of a big warm sector. So that's mainly rain for many eastern states actually. But behind it, again, a risk of winteriness and blizzards. And then into mid-January here, and you can see that the cold blast is starting to get going across parts of the northern Great Plains. It's coming southwards and eastwards into January 12th and 13th. So by January 13th, we have a storm brewing towards the deep south, and that it's got a huge contrast in temperatures. Severe cold into the northern Great Plains and down, trying to get into the central plains as well. Beyond that, the cold air. So on the southern and western side of that low pressure, especially extreme colds with snow blizzards with that. That is extreme. So I mean, Great Plains, especially in the north, possibly into the deep south as well, and up into these eastern and northeastern states, are in for a brutal cold spell in early to mid-January if it's correct. And as I said before, the southeast, west, and southwest are protected from the extreme cold because of ridges close to those areas. If you see what I mean. Then after that, it gets a bit less cold in many areas of the south and west, but still very cold in the Midwest and Northeast. Again, as I said, Midwest and Northeast will be the coldest regions of the USA in this period here. And you can see another cold shot getting ready to flood into, again, northern Great Plains into the Midwest and Northeast. And again, the southwest and south and into the west as well, you will be protected by a low off the coast of Northwest America and a ridge to the south, keeping it a bit milder. But that's the exception, because many areas north and east of you will be cold, the cold again, Midwest towards northeast of the USA. And the cold just, as I said, that block gets going. And as I said before, western and southwestern states will be on the mild side of the block, wafting up winds from southeast. But areas like, as I said, Great Plains, northern Great Plains, Midwest and Northeast will be on the cold side of the block. So we see a prolonged cold wind from Canada, extremely cold here, and it prolongs itself over several days, and it spills eventually into parts of the south. So that's one to watch. It's definitely getting progressively colder through January, and while it happens, the cold air will clash with mild air to the south and result in winter storms. Coldest core in Midwest towards northeast, possibly into parts of the northern plains as well. but the southeast, like Miami, also into the western and southern states, will be the least cold, as you'll be protected by a ridge of high pressure. So that's much everyone. A lot happening in the USA. So stay safe, and I'll keep you updated. Thanks for watching.